God damn.
For sure. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the Conscious Approach
Yeah.
video series on the YouTube channel. Man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. We have had a great week on the channel. We picked up a lot of subscribers over the course of the last 7 days. Man, we certainly appreciate y'all. My name is
Hey.
J. My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Before we was kind of talking about this, a little bit before we hit live, but yeah, we kind of have these conversations all the time, whether we in front of a camera or not. So it's cool to see that some of the stuff that we kick on this channel is being receptive, is being received well by our little audience here on our little corner of the internet. So
That's
uh,
right.
before we get, before we get started with this week's topics, I always like to begin every video by saying, if you have not already done so, and you happen to catch wind on any of our content, whether it is this stream, any other stream, or whether it is one of our video uploads, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. We are trying to grow this little tight knit conscious approach community. We certainly appreciate everybody who has done so thus far,
Yeah.
and we appreciate everyone in advance who will do so in the future. But yeah, we just growing this thing out, man, making it bigger and better, doing our little thing over here on YouTube, man.
Yeah, just
And we
chilling.
appreciate everybody who has joined us for the ride. Everybody who contributes to the views, hits that like button, and especially everybody who leaves a comment to sort of continue the dialogue well after we have hit stop on these videos, because we kind of live for that stuff, man. We have a good little time making these videos. So thank you to everyone who has joined the tribe, and thank you in advance to everyone who will join the tribe in the future. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and
Yeah.
hit that like button so
Yeah.
that you can know each and every time that something new is published to this channel. Now, with that out of the way, we are going to go ahead and get things kicked off with a little relationship advice from one of our experts.
Oh.
Um, yeah, one of our leaders
Mm.
in the hip hop community,
Uh,
whose opinion on important issues like relationships is highly valued. Young Miami from the City Girls,
yeah.
who makes music that is very um, pragmatic and useful and helpful and positive for the fostering of positive relationships for our youth and for our black and brown people and for anyone else who likes to listen to this hip hop stuff.
That's right.
And if you cannot tell, I am being sarcastic as I say these
Oh,
things.
come on.
uh, but be that as it may, comments from individuals like this can serve as interesting discussion points. And this is no exception to that line of thinking. So, very briefly, here to provide some context, Young Miami recently spoke on something that can um, definitely put your relationship in a downward trajectory. In her opinion, you should not move in with a man because it spells doom for the relationship. So, to provide any context for anyone who is unaware of the comments, when go, I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. This is an article from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Young Miami offers bold advice on moving in with men. Quote, don't do it. Young Miami is once again getting attention from fans because of a tweet. The City Girls rapper is one of the most prolific tweeters in all of music and regularly gets attention for tweets where she espouses controversial views. Occasionally, she can spark wild debates among fans with her takes. A few days ago, she did it again with her views on moving in with a partner. Miami tweeted, quote, I miss my man. I just want to smell his neck. Oh my God. In
It's terrible.
response, a fan told Young Miami that she should just move in with her man. In response to that suggestion, she quote tweeted saying, that's how you ruin a relationship. Don't do it. Subsequently, fans debated whether or not she was giving good advice as the tweet racked up over 4,000 comments and quote tweets. So yeah, there's a screen caption of the tweet itself. It says that's how you ruin a relationship. Don't do it.
Mm.
Young Miami most recently sparked controversy when the fans suggested that she could be using her platform more to address some of the laws being passed in her home state of Florida. Her response read, "Please tell me what the F I'm supposed to do when I got my own problems. The F Florida ain't my kid," end quote. So that's, related but unrelated. Be that as it may, her thoughts are, how do you ruin a relationship? By moving in with somebody. So she just doesn't think you should do it. Yeah. So she does miss her man. She's all about this relationship life, apparently. Um, kind of despite what the music that she makes would suggests. However, she doesn't think that you should move in because it is not a good idea. It will ruin it. So, what do you think? You think Young Miami is giving good advice out here? Do you think that the City Girls spokesperson is correct in saying that you shouldn't move in with your partner because it will ruin it? Ruin it, she says. It will ruin the whole thing.
Well, I say, as you say, she is the City Girl spokesperson. She is the ambassador. Um, so their group embodies City Girl spirit. And one thing City Girl shouldn't do is be serious in a relationship and move in with a man. Now, she's quoting from the Book of Thought. And now, one thing about the Book of Thought, the City Girls have chapters in there. They're laying down the framework for the New Age people who are not aware of their masculine and feminine energy. So, the gospel is being spread by one of its saints, saying that, hey, look, ladies, I tried this. You can't be city girls and out here winning, having hot girl summers and popping you know what's in the streets if you have a serious committed relationship. Now, if you live with somebody, they're going to see all your little cat movements. You can't sneak out. You can't do your city girls here. You can't do your city girls there. Things get serious. They start developing excuses, squirming. You can literally see them squirming. Their skin is crawling. They have to get out of the house and go thought. Why would they move into a situation when they constantly have to scratch that itch? So, as I mentioned, her quoting from the Book of Thought and the City Girls chapter that they have in there, she's preaching gospel to all of her followers. So now, whether all of her followers are aware of, because clearly, I'm sure some of her fans, took offense to that, and you should want to ask yourself, should you be a fan of a woman who thinks this way? At least about relationships, at least. But how about you, sir? How do you feel about this situation? Do you feel as though Young Miami was preaching some sort of gospel or the gospel? Should people really consider this?
Yeah, she's preaching gospel to those who move the way she does. Mm-hmm. So there's two schools of thought. There is the school of thought for people in general, but women more specifically, who date like her. And then there is the school of thought for people in general, but women more specifically, who are more traditional minded and date in a more reasonable, balanced way. For the women who think like Young Miami and who harbor that mentality, I'm on you. I agree with you. And this didn't occur to me until maybe 30 seconds before we started actually talking about this. For women like this, and this is going to sound very apathetic, but it is what it is. For women like this, who date in a very masculine way, who maintain options at all times, and who are constantly, or at least often enough, looking to upgrade from whatever their current situation is, even if their current situation is amicable and good and productive. It's difficult to do the hot girl summer shit. It's difficult to embody the city girl lifestyle if you're living with a guy, because if you're living with a guy, you can't cycle through your rotation of men in your phone as often, because that guy's going to notice it and he's going to start asking questions.
Right.
There might be some issues. There's going to be some friction. And women nowadays, not all, but it's certainly women who embody this type of thought process, this type of ideology. They like to maintain their own Holodex, as Ludacris once put it when he made that song years and years ago. And they like to have several guys on rotation. Usually, each guy satisfies a particular need. Generally speaking, the guy who gets to live with the chick is the one who gets the privilege of satisfying the sexual need. But then there's also the financial needs, and there's also the emotional needs. There's also the supportive needs, and each of these are usually satisfied by different men at different times. Harder to maintain those various entanglements if you have a live-in partner, because the live-in partner is going to wonder what is the purpose of all of these guys in your phone. It's going to ask questions, and it can lead to some complications. So best to just not move in with the guy, because it can ruin whatever relationship situation that you have that's going on with the main guy, the guy who gets the privilege of the box, the guy who you would be living with otherwise if you didn't think this way. Now, that's for the city girl chicks. That's for the, hot girl summer chicks. That's for the Meg the Stallion, that's for the current crop of, younger millennials and Gen Zers and younger who, kind of date in a freelance, free love kind of capacity. For, the people, and I would still argue that even though, this is becoming less and less the case, I would still say that statistically speaking, this is the majority of people. The majority of people who kind of want to do it in a balanced, reasonable way. I don't know how practical this advice is, because last time I heard, if a guy wants you to move in with him, that should be an indication that you have a strong relationship that has a future. So that should be one of the things that you look towards as a positive sign in the step in the right direction. Oh, he actually wants me to move in with him. He's taking me seriously. And vice versa. If there's a guy out there and you ask a girl to move in with you and she says yes, that's an indication that she is also looking at this as a situation that has perhaps a fruitful future. So that's something that, contrary to what Young Miami is saying, for those who think in a more balanced way, would be an indication that this is a step in the right direction. But yeah, if you're not balanced and you're not on your square, and you want to maintain your entanglements and situationships, and at the very least, uh, remove yourself from the possibility that you can become too emotionally attached to a man, so much so that, you know, moving it, so much so that if you decide that you want to cut the cord, you feel less guilt ridden because there was less of an emotional connection with this person, so that you can move on to greener pastures. Then moving in certainly wouldn't help your cause in that regard, because if you move in with him, presumably the higher the likelihood of that emotional connection. So best to just steer clear of that stuff so that you can maintain the position that you want to maintain, to be able to move on and, continue to ride the carousel, um, at the highest level that you would like to ride the carousel. So the validity of, what Young Miami had to say really does boil down to which school of thought you come from. If you are from the new age school of thought and your mentality is free sex, no consequences, uh, you know, polyamory, all new age forms of relationships where there is a relationship, but there isn't, because there's always the next person or the next opportunity, then you don't move in because you don't want to compromise your ability to do that effectively. But if you're from the other school of thought where you kind of do things in a more of a balanced way, where you're on your square, I would say that she's actually telling the opposite story. And if you're, venturing towards actually living with an individual, you can at least take that as a sign that this is something that has a future. So it depends on which school of thought you come from, and you know which school of thought you are on. Be honest with yourself and just ride it out for whatever it is, based on however you look at it.
Oh, well said, bro. I agree 100. And in this situation here, um, she's not being, at least in this context, she's not being delusional about who she is and where she's coming from. And as you mentioned, when they have their own apartments and stuff like that, or their own living space or whatever, just not living with the guy, all their excuses can work. I was asleep, you know, I was watching TV, I missed the phone wasn't in the room, all this stuff.
Phone was dead, battery was dead.
Battery was dead,
Yeah,
all of that stuff can fly when she's
right.
just in her room by herself or whatever, or with somebody else. So the whole thing is, having inappropriate conversations, all of that stuff can fly when she's got her own space. So these girls here that are capitalists on men and they play men, it's their hustle, it's their form of employment. So why would you move in? It doesn't even equate. You're literally limiting your options. So there's a two side of the neck part. Women like this gonna claim they want to be married one day, and she talking about moving in is gonna ruin a relationship. It's gonna ruin it when you're immature, and doing the mature thing, doing a responsible thing is never fun, and it's always difficult, and that's why people don't choose to do it, and they rather just live in their own narcissistic society, in their own narcissistic world, and I, me, and that's never gonna work in a team unit like moving in and being a family. So with this mindset that's clearly run rampant across westernized societies, um, yeah, I mean, this is speaking true to a large population of women who think they want to be involved with a man, and move in with him until they actually do and go, God damn, I'm actually a city girl. Yeah, light bulb went off. Light bulb went off. Oh shit, I'm actually a city girl. I thought I really wanted the real thing. No, you don't. You still want to play. And it's a lot of people out here that are just playing, man. They're just playing. And all of this access, to other people 24/7. I mean, how many people are keeping it loyal? There are people doing it, but the percentages are very low. I would say that these are rare people once you come across them. So, yeah, the thing is, yeah, there's two sides of the spectrum, and so the masses, whether they agree with her or not, actually agree with her, and but the people that actually want to be responsible, have something real for real, um, this is definitely muddying the waters and putting more toxicity in the minds of people who may be on the fence. So yeah,
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
fan of Miss Golden Shower here. Um,
She
uh,
did say that, huh? Yeah,
yeah, because she'll do
yeah,
whatever get that
yeah,
check. You know what I'm saying? And everybody know Diddy's unique lifestyle. Him and his fantasy camps and other shenanigans that he likes to partake in. So you got to listen to who you listening to, getting advice from. Look at what she did. But again, if you're part of the city girl world, you they probably like the fact that she's getting peed on.
yeah.
So
It's the price of doing business. It's
yeah.
it's it's, it's literally the price of doing business. Yeah, academics got on her like a week ago.
Mhm.
They got some kind of internet beef going, and academics got on her for basically, he basically was lamenting how she is talentless and her only real talent is pimping men. And he called out the fact that, she's Diddy's side chick and how Diddy needs to come check her for saying disrespectful things publicly to him. And, she went back at him, making it very clear that she is no one's side piece and that she will never come second to any other woman. But what is the value or the merit of that when you would, what is the value of saying that you would never come second to any other woman when you still live your life in such a way that you maintain a revolving door of men? Like, To me, it's a wash. There's no difference between the two.
Agreed.
Now, whether she's doing that or not, I believe if we are to believe that she practices what she preaches, then she does live that way. And if she doesn't live that way, then the fact that she makes music like this is very dangerous and problematic because she's preaching a gospel that she herself doesn't even live by. And it's similar to other artists who do similar things, like
Mm-hmm.
Cardi B, for example.
That's right.
Cardi B will make music all day, every day, talking about taking a man for his money, tying him up, having him robbed, all this other stuff. Yet she's a wife and a mother of two and is not doing any of that stuff. But this ratchetness is becoming a mainstay, culturally speaking. And that's the dangerous part inherent in it, because I believe as ratchet as they come, whether it's her or any of these other rappers coming up who are like on this stuff, at the end of the day, I still believe that it's part of a woman's core to desire to be in a relationship context and, for lack of a better term, claimed by a man. Now, your rhetoric and the way that you're living your life is counterintuitive to that natural instinct, but the natural instinct is never going to go anywhere. So eventually, you're going to have to reconcile your rhetoric and your ideology with what you claim to want and decide whether it's worth the price of waiting until your wealth past your prime to finally live out what your natural instinct is in lieu of this immediate gratification of golden showers and, I guess Louboutin shoes and, private jets or whatever else women like them think that they need in order to believe that they're happy in a relationship context. So it's an interesting thing to think about. At the end of the day, I'm not necessarily going to judge her because I accept all of this for what it is. I just say, so long as she's being honest with who she is, so be it. And every other woman like that, as long as they are honest with who they are, then so be it. And for any other woman who ain't about that life, but you romanticize over the idea of being about that life, just decide whether regular golden showers in exchange for a particular type of lifestyle is worth that price to pay. Because clearly she has decided that her self-respect and dignity is a moot point compared to what she gets in exchange for admitting these things publicly. But then again, to women like her, there's a different bar or standard or line of demarcation when it comes to self-respect. Like, to women like this, being peed on doesn't mean that you lack self-respect. So it's a fundamentally different way that I look at this versus people like this, and to each their own. I just say at the end of the day, you know who you are, and if you are someone who wants to have your Rolodex, who wants to, stick and move, do how you please, date in a masculine way, have your rotation of men, and do whatever you want, then yeah, moving in with a guy certainly is counterintuitive to continuing to live like that. But if you're not about that life, then don't listen to any of this because it doesn't make sense and it's dumb because it's actually the opposite. If a guy wants you to move in with him, chances are it's a good sign that it's going somewhere. So don't fight it, just go along with it. Unless you're a city girl, in which point go along with what Young Miami is saying, free sex, no consequences.
Yeah, it's gonna be that moment, when they thought they wanted it from the guy that they like, and then they're just gonna look in the mirror and go, "Damn, this is too serious for me. This is too. I see him every day." That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I'd be telling them. I'm like, "Hey, look, we gonna get tired of each other. We live with each other. We're gonna see each other all the time. Ain't no need to be up under each other all the time. It's gonna be a burnout. It's gonna be a point where you're tired of hearing me breathe or how I chew my food. It's like, damn, nigga, just chew it the right way. It's gonna be that moment. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh? What did I do? And so it's a point where you got to be able to be mature enough to see past all of that. Not always want the dopamine rushes of being single, because that's over. You've now committed to a person by moving in with that person. But that's too serious for modern people, period, right now. That's too serious. And so I don't recommend it unless the people are being serious about it. You know, and honestly, with the way that uh mortgage prices and rent prices are going up right now, cohabitation is going to have to be a thing. So people gonna have to start, splitting incomes, and split income to home or whatever, because the cost of living right now is not a joke. So uh, now more than ever, marriage needs to be more emphasized, but people aren't even ready to move in. So she's speaking to a large constituency. There was a lot of people that were in her fan base, I'm sure, that had some kickback to it. But moreover, as we already stated, the city girls, the city girls philosophy. This is hand in hand of what they believe, and so why would you move in, city girl? So mature ladies, we still see you out there, and we appreciate
Yeah, definitely. It's going to get to a point where people like we're gonna forget the reason why we even started doing things the way we do them in the first place. Like this whole this whole women dating in a masculine way was in direct response to women wanting to be able to do the same things as men. Because like men have always been able to be hoes, so why can't we be hoes too? So now it's become more culturally acceptable. But over time, it'll get pervasive enough to the point where in which we'll forget what the original purpose of it is, and it'll just become a natural way of life without even giving it a second thought. And I think we've all at this point experienced some of this to varying degrees. And so, yeah, I think that the place that she's coming from, I'm kind of on your side with that. I just think she's looking at it from the standpoint of, well, I can't do my thing if I live with them. And
you.
she's
Right.
right. She can't. So,
Right.
so it's like it entirely depends on what school of thought you come from. And the only thing that I can say is just know who you are and know what your school of thought is. Don't fit a square peg into a round hole. If you are of the city girl school of thought, then be that. But don't do that. But then talk about how you want to be a wife and all of this other stuff, because when you get into it, it ain't gonna work because you're not gonna like it, and you're gonna realize that you should have just been yourself the entire time. So,
Bro,
and vice versa to the other side.
and mark my words, pull this up 4 years later, 5 years later, when Young Miami moves in with somebody. Pull this up. I called this. She's gonna want to do this. This
Yeah,
isn't
she is.
so.
Yeah,
So that's why this is dumb. This is dumb for her to say, because she's gonna
yeah,
want to move in one day, and she
right.
is. And then she's just gonna go against her word. So yeah, I put the prediction out there. She's gonna be moving in with some rapper, man. So
Yeah,
don't listen to this, ladies.
I
It's false
agree.
gospels.
Yeah, in my opinion, I say don't listen to it. But
Yeah. Hey,
I'm just being typical man here.
rent
So
too high,
whatever.
ladies. Rent too high. Y'all better start sharing. Stop the thought and start sharing.
Yeah, facts. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. 2023, man. 2023.
Oh, the wrong one. So next up, we're gonna talk about Blueface on a
Blueface?
on somewhat of a similar note.
Ah.
Blueface has his own brand of social of relationship advice. Now, Blueface is an absolute, unadulterated, unequivocal mess. Uh, but that doesn't mean that he isn't content. That doesn't mean that he isn't content.
That's
So
right.
Blueface believes that women should expect to be cheated on.
Uh-oh.
If you know anything about Blueface's relationship history or his various relationship histories, it should come as no shock that he would say something like this. pretty much on a daily basis. He goes back and forth with the current future mother of his next child, Christian Rock. They've gone back and forth. It's well documented. He wanted her to get an abortion. She was going to get an abortion, but then chose not to get an abortion. They've been yelling at each other back and forth. All kind of dysfunctionality going on. Well, Blueface recently took to Twitter to espouse on some relationship advice of his own, and he believes that women should have an expectation that they're going to be cheated on. So here it says Blueface tells women they should expect to be cheated on. Blueface has been getting a lot of attention recently, and very little of it is positive. The saga featuring him and Christian Rock continues. Most recently, Blueface took Jaden Alexis on a date and told her she could look after his and Rock's baby. Then there was the rival clip of him harassing a woman at a nightclub. Furthermore, his mom is trying to start beef with Eric Badu. Just a lot of things going on that aren't music for the rapper, if you want to call him that. Seemingly not tired of the attention, Blueface took to Twitter to deal out some relationship advice. More specifically, Blueface warned women that they should expect to be cheated on because Beyonce was cheated on. Truly a relationship guru at work. The tweets were bizarre, misguided, and just straight up cringe. At the very least, Twitter is having fun roasting him for it. So there is the tweet there. If Beyonce got cheated on, bitch, you getting cheated on, so you ain't even got half to offer, bitch. Oh, that's my Blueface voice. That's my Blueface
all right,
voice.
okay. I'm about to say, damn.
Blueface sounded off with a series of tweets on June 3rd. If Beyonce got cheated on, you getting cheated on, you don't got half to offer. I'm speaking to all women, be for real, came the follow up. Ain't no female better than Beyonce. Ain't no N word richer than Jay-Z. You get the point, Blueface added. The truth could never be a diss, the rapper concluded. Earlier in the day, Blueface retweeted a tweet from Jaden Alexis that read, "Addicted to dick, I got ad." I don't know what that means.
All right,
So we don't
what?
have to go. Yeah, we don't have to go on there.
Because that's a
Blueface
wild
believes.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, so Blueface says that women should expect to be cheated on, and his evidence as to why this is a reasonable expectation is even Beyonce got cheated on by Jay-Z, and nobody is richer than Jay-Z, and Beyonce is Beyonce, and she got cheated on. So if you don't got what they got, then of course the bar for you should be an expectation for cheating. So this guy is someone who personally I've always looked at as a true black eye um, when it comes to the quality of today's music. That's neither here nor there. And I think as well that he has represented also a black eye when it comes to the quality of modern relationships. Anyone who is paying attention to what he does and looks at it as anything positive, I think you need to reevaluate your life. But we'll get into my thoughts on what Blueface had to say momentarily. But what do you think about Blueface suggesting that women should expect to be cheated on? Because hell, Beyonce got cheated on, so why can't you?
Well, this is again, like you said, much like the first topic, where we gotta we gotta understand who we're taking advice from. So now this is a guy who tattooed a slave owner on his face, and he calls himself Blueface. So, and then he runs around, look at him. So he's talking to his groupies because nobody's interested in Blueface but his groupies. So yeah, these girls are groupies. So these girls are city girls. So Blueface is telling city girls, hello, you're going to get cheated on. You're not Beyonce. And even Beyonce got cheated on. You're a city girl. You're getting dunked on constantly. So what I look like, A clown, some simp? No. So he's speaking a language of dealing with city girls all day. Not the well-to-do young lady that's well-to-do, because he doesn't even deal with them. So that's his frame of reference is constantly dealing with ladies of the evening. You damn right. You're cheating on a lady from the evening because, well, she gives her box to everybody else too. So there's a lot of this going on, both male and female. Now, women would argue men have been doing this longer. We can get into genetics and DNA and biology later. All right. But the point is, all right, it's a masculine thing to be going around here trying to spread seed. So it doesn't really make much sense, for a woman to go around and try to spread seed. It doesn't equate. Now it can, unless you're Summer Walker. All right. But nevertheless, man, this whole scenario, these are two pods talking to each other. You damn right city girls don't want to move in with Blueface. And you damn sure Blueface doesn't want to deal with a damn city girl and wife her up. So what about you, sir? I got more to say about this. But that's just the surface. How about you, man? How you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that these are opposite sides of the same coin for sure. Blueface definitely deals with a certain type of woman, and a certain type of woman who says don't move in with a man tends to operate her life in a particular kind of way and deal with a certain kind of guy. Um, the thing that I want to say is I view this as potentially problematic because what I am seeing is you mentioned the well-to-do young lady, and there's definitely an uptick of well-to-do young ladies who will get into relationship situations with guys like Blueface. Now, the problem with that is you're coming into it with your well-to-do approach, and you're dealing with a ratchet guy who has this kind of mentality. When the ratchet guy cheats on you, you are then going to start to develop a complex in which you believe that there is an expectation for cheating, because you're going to perpetuate your own vicious cycle where after you're done getting cheated on by the blue faces of the world, you get with the next blue face of the world, because that's the kind of guy via your programming that you become attracted to. And so, as these things continue to happen over and over again, you develop a complex in which you believe I am to maintain a reasonable expectation of these dudes cheating on me because all of these guys keep cheating on me. And so, to that end, to that extent, I would say if you fancy yourself someone who thinks that Blueface is blowing smoke and that women should not maintain a reasonable expectation for being cheated on, please make sure that you maintain proper mate selection decision making in your own personal life. Uh, Try to strip yourself of the programming that has taught you that a guy like Blueface is the kind of guy that you want to get with, because all you're going to do is fulfill your own prophecy if what you say about not wanting to be cheated on is actually true, because you've lamented in other videos that sometimes you want to call cap on this outrage over cheating, because if you were receiving certain things in return, then you just might deem cheating to be a worthy enough price to pay. Now, that's not all women. You're just kind of speculating that there's a fair amount of women who look at cheating as a cost benefit analysis type proposition. Well,
Gotcha.
what does this relationship provide for me otherwise? Oh, he cheated on me, but since it's providing these things for me, perhaps I can let the cheating slide, right? But if you are someone who says, I don't want to be cheated on, and you mean it, and you're for real, and you're serious, and you're convicted in this notion that that is actually a non-negotiable, then how about you have good mate selection, decision making processes in place, so that you can at the very least minimize the possibility that you are going to deal with stuff like this. And I just say all of this because to me, like this programming and this mind control out here is real. I started to notice this for myself. I often talk about my time working as a cook in a restaurant. And I think back on that period of my life because it exposed myself to a lot of different forms of thinking, forms of living, a lot of different people from different backgrounds, people who people who come from the well-to-do women as well as the ratchet women. I've seen it all. And I've seen several instances of the good girl who comes from the two-parent household, who's raised right, who has good morals and values, who still wants to date Blueface. I've seen it. And we can debate back and forth how prevalent that is. And I'm not gonna argue on that. This is completely anecdotal. So I don't know that there is any statistical information out there which can inform us on how prevalent the advent of that is. But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, it occurs. And in my opinion, it is occurring at an increased rate today compared to previous times in history. And I'm saying that well to do, good natured, good moral, good valued girl raised by good natured, good moral, good value mom and dad is out here trying to date Blueface. And when Blueface runs her through the mud, she's going to then develop a complex in which she believes that what somebody like Blueface says is true. These dudes just gonna cheat on you. So it is what it is. And then they in turn develop a sense of entitlement to do the same thing back to them. And there goes that, revolving door of toxicity. This is a vicious cycle that perpetuates upon itself. So if you just maintain the wherewithal to choose better mates, this will likely happen to you less often than it would otherwise. And it takes breaking out of the matrix. So you might need to, as we talked about in the previous topic, measure how much validity you give to the words of somebody like Young Miami. Don't listen to them. Just because they got a microphone in front of them and they make music doesn't mean that they know what the hell they're talking about.
Boy,
They
that's
don't know
so true.
shit. They don't know shit just like the rest of us. So stop believing them when they talk. Stop taking advice from them. They don't know anything. She don't know shit. She doesn't know shit. Stop granting her that level of accountability of authority. Stop giving that to her. Stop giving her that kind of credibility. Just because she says don't move in with a man doesn't mean that she's right. She could very well be wrong. Don't listen to these people. Stop listening to these rappers. They don't know shit. They're dysfunctional and they have horrible morals and ethics themselves. And they have an in the moment lifestyle. And a lot of these dysfunctional qualities that they tell you should be embodying, they can afford to do it. Literally, they can afford it. They can literally afford it. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means they can afford it. Like if they get their relationship, if they get broken up with their relationship, they don't have to deal with things like who gets the furniture or going back to live with their parents because they can't afford to live off of their one paycheck at their 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
They're relatively financially free, so they can just keep it pushing. So for them, in certain respects, it pays to be toxic. And I don't know what Blueface's money looked like, but I know that he can at least afford to talk crazy like this, reckless on social media. Stop listening to these rappers. Stop doing it. They don't know shit. They're the worst people to listen to. But too many of us far too often listen to them. And I have far too often seen good girl, well-to-do, good morals and ethics want to date Blueface because she's been programmed to think that that's what she is finding attractive. And then she develops a complex because she fulfills her own prophecy. Blueface guy cheats on her. She's not going to get with 9 to 5 IT guy. No, that guy's boring and lame. It has to be Blueface guy. Blueface guy is going to cheat on you. And furthermore, ladies, for the record, and I don't know how often we have to say this, Blueface is an effeminate, emasculated guy. These guys aren't masculine. Just because they make these songs about smashing bitches on wax doesn't mean that they're masculine. Just because they got money, it doesn't mean they're masculine. It just means they got money and can afford to talk like this. Stop, break out of the matrix. Get off the mind control. Make better choices when it comes to your mate selection process. Don't get with Blueface. Because, yeah, if you get with Blueface, he is going to cheat on you. That doesn't mean
Right.
that you're fulfilling your own prophecy. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason why you have to maintain that expectation. There are plenty of men out here who are on their square, who are masculine, and who do all the things that you claim that you want a man to do, provide, make money, all of this other stuff, security, blah, 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 that y'all claim to care about, who aren't going to do this stuff because they aren't cut from the mold of Blueface or any of these other dysfunctional males out here who are actually effeminate but masquerading as masculine people, masculine men. So just stop listening to them. Don't buy into the hype. There's nothing wrong with a guy who's not like this. There's nothing wrong with non-tatted up, non-face tattooed, non-I get bitches men. Those guys are just as valuable quality wise, if not more so, than these dudes. Leave the blue faces to the young Miamis and vice versa. If you know you're cut from a mold that is not of that ilk, leave that alone.
Right.
But a lot of us don't leave it alone. It's this draw that we have to people like this, and I personally think that it's a cultural um, dynamic that is directly derived from our cultural programming, which I believe is mostly entrenched in the music, entertainment as a whole, but I think it's mostly music. I think the music is the most pervasive form of this. And so I just kind of think you shouldn't listen to them. Don't do it. And I've seen it. I've seen these these women out here. They go to college. They ain't come from no.
Ah,
They ain't come from these adverse communities. You know what I'm saying? Well
well, that
spoken.
was crazy. Yeah.
They ain't about this life for real, but they still desire to get with these guys. And then these guys run through them, and then they perpetuate it and they create this dynamic that continues to fuel itself. It's a very well-oiled machine. But those are my words, so you can take them for what it's worth. I just say don't listen to them.
Well, yeah. So there has to be some compartmentalization going on to not listen to these people like that, you know. And so for the older crowd of us, we don't listen. Of course, we don't listen to Blueface or Young Miami. Like honestly, like who the hell are they? You know. And when especially, not to say that young people can't put you on game, but these kids are talking about concepts that are I've already experienced whatever. So it's not much that these guys can share of advice outside of advice of a lifestyle I've never lived, you know. And so for this guy here, I wasn't paying attention, but that for the people that do like follow these people, Blueface or Young Miami, you know, there has to be a level of everybody. Not if they're just reading this as everybody thinks this way, because that's a wild way to look at social media too, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's what they
Yeah.
want you to think whenever you see a post, that everybody's on whatever that post is.
Right.
And so you'll see a post about some wild stuff, and all of a sudden you think that's what it is. And it's not. All by the like count, all by it's getting so many likes and comments because it's ratchet and hell is crazy. So it's shock. So you can't base your reality off shocking media. And so for the new people, that's what they do. That's why they want the flashy, in your face, constant stimulation stuff going on. And so there has to be a separation of that mindset, and then so that people like Blueface come off comical, not as somebody that you should actually listen to. But there's a large group of young men in this country that listen to Blueface and hold him down. And if you start talking wild about him, they're gonna have defensive words to say. And those are the young men that are being caught in a wave of his delusion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now we got to start seeing things in reality, man, and start calling spades spades. Hey, man, this is a diverse world with all kinds of species and creatures crawling about. I'm in the mindset to believe that there's just certain spirits that just have to be on this planet, period. The reason why we don't rock with Blueface is, well, because we don't walk in that lane. We're not from that tribe, so we don't get and understand the goofiness. But there's some people that's part of the Blueface tribe, and they all carry themselves that way, whether black, white, Hispanic, Indian, doesn't matter. They then they'll sit there and listen to him and go, he's preaching my gospel. And these people have to exist. There's no way that life could exist without people who think like that. So much like a lot of people who think like us here at the Conscious Approach, we're speaking of the tribe, and you mention the tribe all the time. Mm-hmm. So in that context, there's people out there that like good dialogue and like good conversation and want to hear different thoughts. So the same thing is for people who listen to Young Miami. So the whole thing is that these people are going to be, they have voices and they get famous and then they start putting their stuff out there. So the wild part is the young and impressionable. But everybody else, man. But I think that the young impressionable that get caught up in it belong to that in the first place. Mm-hmm. And that's why it resonates with them. And so we start looking at society and go, hey man, society can be pretty shitty. Well, we're gonna have to start looking at this matrix a little bit more differently and start to say that, hey man, some people are just born to be that way. And there is no grandiose, we can change this, or kumbaya, or we need to get our act together. No, maybe just maybe that this chaos needs to be. And then there's people that don't want to be a part of the chaos ever, and they stay away from it. And so you're just gonna have to start letting the spade and let the chips fall where they may, as they say, and stop and because we're not affected by this, we're just covering it. But there's people that saw this and got triggered, and you gotta let that stuff slide, man, and let those people do what they do, because they're gonna do it anyway. And you can give them the right game, put them down the right path, and they want to go straight right back to irresponsibility. So let them have at it, man. That was long-winded, but this really shows me that, because who's really following this guy? But there's people following this guy.
Yeah.
So there's people that's gonna get caught up by this, but how it is what it is.
That's why I don't take for granted talking about this on this channel, because I know Blueface has fans. Like it's enough of them that talking about this is worthy of a topic on this channel. Like I've been in many places where there's a DJ and music and Blueface music comes on, and people enter that trance. Some of this music stuff is just like kind of it's like siren music, like the ancient, those ancient creatures, sirens or something. They'll start singing. All of a sudden, dudes get lulled into a trance. Next thing you know, you've been a sex slave for 20 years and you ain't even know it. That's the impact that this music stuff has on a lot of these people. And to that end, I say, it is what it is. I ain't tripping off of people who like Blueface. What I'm suggesting is there's something to be learned from comments like this, and the realization that, because you're absolutely correct, just because he says it and just because the tweet gets likes and retweets and comments does not mean that it is representative of the majority of people.
Right.
But if you don't know this, and if you live your life through the prism of your feeds, which a lot of people do, you could be lulled into believing that this is real life, and it's not. And even to that end, I don't even care. But where I will kind of offer up some words is based on what I've seen. And I have seen women, because this originally began as a conversation about women getting cheated on in relationships, and that women should be expecting it, which is it's ridiculous. That's bullshit. I know it is. You know it is. But what we have going on is a growing crop of people, we talk about the normalization of certain things all the time. Sexual deviancy being normalized, free range relationships where you're hopping dick, hopping vagina, partner to partner, being more and more normalized. Um, and some of these things that we're seeing on TV with these streaming shows, all of this stuff is being more normalized. What's also being more normalized, although again it's anecdotal, so I don't know statistically how prevalent it is, but what's
Mhm.
being more and more normalized is this notion that a certain type of guy is the most desirable when it comes to choosing a mate, a certain kind of partner. And Blueface fits that mold for a lot of these women who you would look at face value and think they wouldn't make those kinds of choices, but they're making them nevertheless because of the programming. And so I would say, if you don't think cheating should be a reasonable expectation, probably don't make a decision that will put yourself in a situation in which it's more likely than not that that will happen to you. But if you don't care, or if you just want to be able to run around and he cheats on me, so I'll cheat on you, because you got a lot of people who live that kind of existence. They cheat, I cheat, we cheat, but we still together, whatever. Or if you are the type of woman who you've alluded to in previous conversations, to whom you're willing to look past it if you determine that the cost of it is worth the price of admission, then whatever, do what you do. It is what it is. But if you feel like that's not an expectation, then make a different choice. Make different choices when it comes to your mates. Otherwise, I don't care, because you're 100% right. There's people who are on this earth we're all here to fulfill a specific purpose.
Mhm.
You wonder, why doesn't everybody run a business? Why isn't everybody a CEO? Why isn't everybody because some people are put on this earth to be a drone. As callous as this may sound, there are people who are put on this earth and designed to work checkout at Walmart.
Yeah, I did it
They,
myself.
they are. They are. Like, there's
Uh,
people who are here to be bosses. There's people who are here to run businesses. And there's people who are here to be employees. There's people who are here to be modern day slaves. So we all are here to fulfill a purpose. And yeah, Blueface fulfills a purpose. Young Miami fulfills a purpose. I don't care about changing the mind of Blueface. All I'm suggesting is practice what you preach. Live in your truth. If you actually don't think cheating should be a reasonable expectation for a woman, then choose the kind of guy to whom that's least likely to happen to you. Otherwise, if you don't make the choice, accept what comes with that. But don't then complain and talk about how dudes cheat, because they don't. It's just the guys you choose who cheat. Simple as that. So people just need to be aware of that and understand. And yeah, I think that that's pretty practical. I like the way that you kind of put that into this conversation. We all need to reassess who we believe we have been put on this earth to be, and then juxtapose that to what we are doing. Because I think for a lot of us, we'll realize what we're doing is counterintuitive to what we've always thought of ourselves.
right.
And we'll all be better off if we just walk in our truth. Walk in your truth. And if you don't want to be cheated on, don't date Blueface. Don't go with a dude like Blueface. Stop getting pregnant with a dude like Blueface. Stop doing it. You do actually have the power to make that decision. You do. Like, you're not in this thing, you're not on this rock that we all live on, and you are just devoid of the ability to make decisions that will allow you to do the things that you claim to care about. No, you have that choice to make, and if you don't make it, the egg is on your face.
Yeah, well said, dude. And I'll just say this, man, that um, yeah, these people are doing their thing. They're fulfilling their roles, and people let you know who they are. If you're listening correctly, they'll tell you everything that they're about, everything that they're going to do to you, what they want you in their life for, and you can make your decisions right there. And this ties into what you're saying as far as mate selection goes. I
Yeah.
mean, not everybody's going to have Benjamin Franklin tatted on their face, so you're not going to always know that. So what are the other indicators? But
Hey,
he'll let
look, like, not to cut you off, but at least
you.
Blueface makes it easy for you. He's making it easy. He's got
Right,
he's got the tattoos all over his face and all of this craziness. He's making it easy.
right. So once they have those things already in place, it's like, hey, you can make your judgments there. All right. And I've got visible tattoos that can be somebody's cut off, and I'm okay with that. you know So everybody but people are like, oh, that's judging people and you don't know people. That's also true, but you're rolling dice when you're starting to go, well, let me get to know them. Let me, yeah. It's like, nah, don't. If that's your standard, if you want clean cut, whatever, stick to that. You know, if you don't mind tattoos, okay, but nothing on it. Okay, whatever your standards are, have your standards. But my whole thing is you got to know what's coming with whatever lifestyle that they're coming with. And they're going to let you know what they're about through conversation. They're going to let you know if they're mature or not. They're going to let you know if they really want a relationship, if they actually really want a family, you know, and they'll let you know all of those things. Are you just having dates to just get free meals? You know, and I know so the serious women aren't doing it for the free meals. They're actually trying to get to know the person and blase splees. But again, he's talking to the people who don't take women on dates for those reasons. And Young Miami is talking to women who don't take men on dates for those reasons. So then once these two clowns are talking to each other, let those clowns have each other and don't let them influence you that bruh that's right next to you thinks that way because he don't listen to Blueface.
Right.
And same thing for fellas. Not every woman listens to Young Miami and trying to be city girled up. So it's a lot of it going on, but it ain't all of
it. Right.
But
I truly believe that this is just new generation stuff. People living their lives based on our zombie like devotion to this music shit and living and thinking that social media is real life. It's not. It's not real life. It's not. But a lot of people out here, and this even transcends age, because you got people my age who think social media is real life.
No, bro,
They get they get in their feeds and they get triggered by comments and posts, and they can't get over it, and they want to be able. It's like, look, this is not real life. It's not real. My Instagram notifications aren't even on my phone. I turned them off. I don't even get a notification for Instagram. I have to go into Instagram if I want to see what is on my Instagram, because I don't even get the notifications. Like, this stuff is not real life. Unless it is teaching you practical skills, like how to, let's say you follow a page on Instagram or you follow a YouTube channel that teaches you how to do taxes, teaches you how to count this and count that, the laws for here, and is teaching you how to be a CPA. If you ain't learning how to do real estate, learning actual practical skills, that should be all that this stuff is good for. But listening to ridiculous people like this, these people who should have no credibility in terms of anything you should be listening to, like, these are clowns, as you said. Stop listening to it. Stop listening to this stuff. These people have a mouthpiece only because we are allowing these platforms to control us. Mind control, programming. And it's far too many people who walk by sight and not by faith. I'll put it that way. I've seen it all the time.
And everybody has a Blueface. Let's be honest. So I used to listen to Lil Wayne. That was, I'm not comparing the two. Come on, let's go. But I'm just saying I used to listen to Wayne, and Wayne is visibly, always talks about being out of his mind on drugs. He looks a lot more sober nowadays, which I'm happy about that. But still, it was just like, hey man, Wayne was speaking goofy stuff, and it was about party and irresponsibility. So in the height of my college days, where I should be on campus looking for somebody that's about something, I'm at the club because I'm trying to pop bottles. What is that? Pour it on the models.
You trying to make her lick the lollipop.
Exactly. I hated that song. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'm at the club doing irresponsible things because I used to listen to the Bluefaces in those days. So I'm not saying that I'm above this mindset. I'm explaining how to get away from the mindset because I once lived it. So this whole Blueface thing right now and Young Miami thing is catching a new wave of impressionable young people who think that they're just living the new cutting edge fly shit, and it's not. And so yeah, man. So for anybody that is caught up in the wave, hey, bro, reconsider, and anybody else, just check your own feed of somebody that's like, you know what, look at their life results. Why should I actually listen to what this person? They can entertain me, but look at their life results. Should, even if they say some real shit every now and then, it's like, hey, but do I want that situation? You know, and if these people are actually out here doing things that you feel is noble or whatever, everybody ain't got the fly shit going on. But still, it's just like there's people like Blueface, and then there's people out there that are like whoever that try, and just like anybody else. So yeah, man, people just have to make sure they compartmentalize what they see in their feed, and just know that whatever pop through their feed, I don't care how many millions of views and comments that it has, not everybody thinks that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that because I listened to it as well, but I always had a filter. So I was able to
Yeah, I did.
understand how to extract what I need from the music and
Mhm.
still enjoy it, but not feel as though it's gospel. And I think that that's the element that has gotten lost as the music has
Yeah.
become, as the music has become more. Because I would say, even when Wayne was at his, from a popularity standpoint, Wayne was probably at his peak with the Carter 3. And the Carter 3 came out in 2007. Instagram came out when 2010. So like even when we were doing all of this stuff, it's the ubiquitous nature of these people's voices has become more and more profound because of the internet and social media today compared to before. So it's more important than ever for people to understand how to listen to this stuff with a filter. And I think that's what's gotten lost. I think most people today who are in the generation listening to the music coming up have no filter. They think it's real life. And I think the reason why they think it's real life is because when you add the music together with social media, it creates this misconception of real life. It's not. One or the other is enough. Just music by itself, just social media by itself, you can maintain some balance with that. But when you put both of them together, a lot of these people out here are thinking that this stuff is real life. And it ain't just young people, it's a lot of people who don't have a filter. So they just consume, 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 and they think it's real and it's not. It's fake.
And last
So
thing, and last thing. So, and when I say filter, it's kind of like it's whatever the vibration of the song is, or whatever. Because I'm not, of course, I'm not shooting drugs or selling, shooting drugs. Hell, he did that too. Shooting people or selling drugs is like he talked about in his music, but his overall theme was party and get women. And so that's like the boil down of it. Everybody listen to Blueface ain't gonna be shooting guns and yelling "Crip," you know. But at the same time, his overall message is be irresponsible and have fun. And so when you listen, so a woman who listens to R&B or whatever, and is talking about, well, I don't listen to that, but yeah, every song's talk about heartbreak, depression, and whatever. So that's what that vibrational set is. So you got to just be mindful that these things do control your reality, because if you have a playlist of what it actually boils down to, how much of it is talking about being an investor or actually getting into a healthy relationship. Mostly when you get down to the nuts and bolts of what most of these mainstream people give to us, is things that send us down pathways or down vibrational pathways that suggest, hey, party, hey, think that every man's going to cheat on you, or be this and whatever, whatever. And then so goes the self-fulfilling prophecies.
yeah.
So the filter has to be mindful of what the overarching message of whatever I'm watching or listening to is trying to tell me. And then from there, you can like compartmentalize even more to go, that's just them. The beat just go hard. But eventually you're going to
Yeah.
get tired of doing that and just go, why am I doing all these mental gymnastics to even enjoy this? And you'll just start watching the shit all together like me.
Well, that part comes with age. That happens once you get old. That
Yeah.
last part, that's what happens when you become old. That's when you just say, I don't even want to do it anymore.
I
It's too
don't even feel like
exhausting.
fighting.
Yeah. It's too exhausting. Yeah.
uh,
But yeah, I just say don't listen, stop listening to them. Stop. Just stop listening to it. Stop.
Sorry, kids.
Ladies, every
Blueface
man, you do
sucks.
not have no, there is no expectation for cheating. That's only if you choose people who are gonna cheat. If you choose people who are gonna cheat, that's on you. So stop complaining. I don't want to hear that shit. There's too many of y'all complaining about how men cheat. No, they don't. You just choose the ones who do. That's on you. So shut up. Stop complaining. Um,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen. Boy, taking us to church.
Oh,
Too much to touch.
oh boy. Okay, lastly, we're gonna talk about Bobby Shmurda. Bobby
Shmurda.
Shmurda recently talked about how he has removed himself from rap. He no longer likes
What?
rap because he looks at it as having a negative impact overall, a negative impact on kids, so on and so forth.
No way.
Yeah, man. So Bobby Shmurda has kind of turned his, I guess he's turned his life around and he's kind of separated himself from the rap game. So these comments were interesting, and it's unfortunate too. They had like a 60-second Instagram embed of
Hmm.
some of the meat of his comments here, but they have since removed it. My guess is the proprietor of the podcast, sweep the internet and claim copyright on anybody who was posting unauthorized clips of their stuff on the website. So now all we have here is the full episode of the Danza Project from YouTube. I am not going to click on that because we will most certainly get hit with copyright flags ourselves. So I will just read this right up from the Hot 97 website. So this says Bobby Shmurda doesn't listen to rap because it's dangerous to children.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Wow.
Bobby Shmurda has revealed that he doesn't listen to rap music because it is dangerous to children. Quote, these kids are following you guys and you're rapping about these effing lifestyles. And it's very dangerous to the communities because these little kids really think that's going on. And you didn't even live it. The Hoochie Daddy rapper said during an interview with the Danza Project podcast. Rap is supposed to be telling motherfuckers to go from negative to positive, coming from poverty to go to riches, and how to stay in that and how to change. That's the shit that I want to hear. I want to hear about living life. Bobby Shmurda continued. The Brooklyn native also stated that he prefers listening to reggae music these days. Quote, I don't know nothing about no rappers. The only time I listen to rap is when I'm in the club, he added. So that's pretty much the gist of what he had to say. He also said that he is so far removed from rap that another rapper could diss him in a song and he wouldn't even know about it because he don't even be paying attention.
Damn.
But these comments are interesting because Bobby Shmurda spent 6 years in prison on weapons possession charges and all other kinds of shenanigans. He's also the creator of songs such as Hot Nigga, Hot Boy, Rats, Shiesty Time, This is Shmurda, I Love My Squad, what else? Whole Brick, Wipe the Case, Wipe the Case Away, Getting Them Back, Glock Inside,
Damn.
Can't Forget About Hot. All of these songs, of course, the lyrics to which are the very things that Bobby Shmurda says is now what's wrong with rap music, especially when it comes to it being bad for kids. So it kind of looks like he has done a 180 and he, fancies himself somebody who likes to make reggae music. But yeah, the, Hot Boy song, Bobby Shmurda, he's not about that
Wow.
rap life anymore. What do you think about that?
Wow. It's I appreciate him waking up. So I don't know if this is coming because I don't know why. I'm glad he came to this realization and is bold enough to say it out loud. But one thing about Bobby Shmurda from the stuff that I have seen from him, he's not afraid to hold his tongue. He's just basically going to say whatever the hell he wants to say anyway. So, yeah, I'm happy that he said that because that just basically was explaining what we just mentioned a minute ago with Blueface stuff, where there's genres within rap that have certain levels of influence over the youth, and Bobby Shmurda here himself being a benefactor of such a lifestyle.
And a
Um,
creator of it too. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and before this, he would have been arguing tooth and nail, a few years ago about how much he've added to the game and how these guys are fighting him and biting his style. So I'm sure his children are still out there. making more hits talking about murder, murder, kill, kill. So, but again, he's at least come to the realization that, hey, man, this stuff does influence younger generations of people, and we don't need to see no more people talking about smoking ops and all this other crap, uh, because these kids is really believing it. And as I mentioned too before, like in previous pods, like these guys are actually like rappers are actually getting indicted for actual gang activities, for actually
Yeah.
murdering people and actually selling drugs. But when we were growing up, man, it was studio thugs. Those guys weren't really moving any weight. They knew the guys moving it, but they didn't move it themselves. So Jeezy wasn't really moving bricks. Did he see one? Did he touch one? Was he a part of some transactions? Yeah, but Jeezy wasn't moving weight. So yeah, he was hanging around Meech. You know, it was all to the good. You know, Rick Ross story's already out there. All right, you know the guy's just a rapper. All right, does he know people that sell stuff? Yeah, but we don't have to go down that path. He don't move it. Ti don't move it. Nobody moved it. I mean, they may have touched it and done it, but they weren't the kingpins that they talked about. So this kingpin rap that was so big in the 90s and in the 2000s, the early 2000s, these kids were listening. And then they grew up and they actually thought but they said, hey, but I'm going to be doing it for real. Just like the John Morant stuff. I'm going to be a real nigga in the NBA. I'm going to be a real nigga in the rap game. These guys are saying, I'm going to really be selling it. I'm going to really be shooting niggas and rapping about it. Yeah, make a whole rap single snitching about it, much like how he did.
Yeah.
And so, if anybody, much like I just said in the last one, if anybody can tell the masses that this stuff corrupts kids' minds, it's somebody that actually corrupted their mind when they were growing up. So why else would Bobby Shmurda make a song about how him and his crew kill people, unless he thought being a real nigga in the game was actually killing somebody and putting it on a track? So he actually bought the hype. So for him to be actually out here saying that, hey, y'all, I bought the hype, basically, I bought the hype. Y'all don't buy the hype. This is trash. We need to be different on some other stuff. Then who else should you listen to? So hopefully, just like how the tribe of people that's so busy to follow Blueface most likely got Bobby Shmurda in their feed too. Hopefully they saw that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe he's got a point. Maybe I should stop listening to this repetitive stuff where guys are waving guns in front of the camera. Maybe I should listen to something else that's not talking about selling drugs in our community. So how about you, sir? Bobby Shmurda's got a point in my book. Do you agree with him, or do you think that this is overblown?
No, it probably comes as no surprise that I agree with what he's saying. And like, there's you know how the whole YSL thing with Young Thug right
That's
now.
right. Yeah.
One of those. So there was a lot of debate going back and forth over the merit of rap lyrics being used to indict these guys, like using their music against them because they're talking about this stuff on the song. And
Literally.
people are having a problem with that, saying you shouldn't do that because it's just artistic creativity and blah 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 blah. And the thing about it is that wasn't previously happening for the very thing that you just brought up. The rappers before were talking about it but weren't doing it.
Right.
So just because you're actually putting it in the music, if the law can't actually connect you to the crime physically, there's no case. The difference now is these people are doing this and they're rapping about it. So essentially you're just telling on yourself on a song.
Right.
But these rappers nowadays really did drink the Kool-Aid. They believe that these guys were doing it before. So they were looking at it as I'm just doing the same thing that they were doing. But it's not the same because those guys before weren't doing it for real.
Right.
So now you're basically telling on yourself, getting yourself indicted and going
Right.
to prison.
Right.
And you have no one to blame but yourself. Like that district attorney out there in Georgia, that lady don't play no games.
Nah,
If they got a case on you and you rapping about it, that's just going to be used against you to the nth degree. And that's your own fault. So yeah, I think what Shmurda said is important. And I've talked about this before. The reason why I don't, the reason why I'm so uncomfortable with rappers in particular being the spokespersons, the representatives for black people, is because too much of the content that's mainstream for mass consumption is this uniformly. The stuff that's damaging to people, to children, and to other people who actually believe it and believe that in order to be authentically of your community or authentic to whom you are as a person, that you got to be out in the streets doing this stuff. This messaging is given to us through this music, and it's force fed through us via mass consumption from the machine that's the music industry. The music industry has the means to control how often certain types of music get put out.
Mm-hmm.
So I am of the belief that the reason why this form of hip hop is so mainstream is because they want it to be. And they want it to be because they know that it has a profound effect on the actions and the behaviors and the mentalities of people who listen to it. And that ain't just black people, that's anybody who listens to it. Especially if you come from the same economic background. Well, no matter what your race or culture is, you're susceptible to that form of recidivism. Because if you listen to it and believe that it's real, you'll be out here doing it. And then you can fuel some of these various systems that thrive off of people being put in systems. And so I think it's cool that Bobby Shmurda said what he said. Uh, you know, I could go. I'm not necessarily going to kind of bash the kid because he used to do some of this stuff himself.
Right.
Because we don't need to bring that up. We already know that, right? That's well documented, and everybody retains the ability to reform themselves. And so long as he is truly reformed and he's not lying or being a hypocrite here, then I say good for you, because more people need to say that, quite frankly. Because obviously, if there isn't pushback to the mainstreaming of this content through the machine that is the music industry, there's going to be no end to this kind of stuff taking place. And there's middle class suburban kids see John Morant running around thinking that they need to hold guns in IG videos, or sell bricks, or get into fights, or threaten people's lives, shoot lasers in people's faces, all of this kind of stuff. People who otherwise aren't built for that life. And I'm sorry, but we talk all the time about the impact that a well-rounded household has on the on a kid's ability to grow up and be well-rounded. Well, we're seeing a lot of these quote unquote well-rounded kids still capitulate to this stuff because this messaging has become truly ubiquitous, more so than it's ever been. See the last conversation that we had talking about Blueface, as you alluded to. The power of an individual who used to do this kind of stuff, speaking out against it, definitely is an effective countermeasure to how pervasive that this is becoming. But yeah, you're not going to see it change, and the machine is not going to change unless the machine sees that there is profit and opportunity in the opposite. And until the machine believes that there is profit and opportunity in the opposite, it's going to keep flooding the market with what pays. And right now, what pays is murder, murder, death, kill, unfortunately. Um, so, yeah, I'm with Shmurda, and it's cool to see that he is saying that. Um, I've never liked rappers being the spokespersons for black people in particular, but just people in general, because they just the content inherent in what they do, because they really do portray it as real life. Very
Mm-hmm.
much so in the same vein that Blueface saying women should expect to be cheated on is suggested in real life, based upon how much that kind of stuff gets served up on Twitter and Instagram algorithms. It's no different with music. This stuff gets served up on these, musical algorithms, so to speak, and it becomes the thing that people believe is real life. And until more of us believe that this is actually not real life, words from somebody such as Bobby Shmurda, despite his past, definitely serve a good purpose. So that's what I say.
Yeah, like you said, hopefully, I hope he sticks to this. He's still a young man, so hopefully he sticks to this. And if he does find himself in the studio again, let's see what he's talking about, you know, because if he's just adding to the filth again, this conversation was just, it made no sense and was useless.
Right.
But it's kind of like you said, to talk to the point that you made on the record labels and stuff like that, and the radio stations and what they decide to promote, you know. And once they made that decision that that's what they're going to start promoting, um guys were just following the rules. They were just following what gets you on. And so much like how everybody liked to complain about the flopping in the NBA, well, they flopping because the referees are rewarding it.
Absolutely.
So the game has gotten softer because the referees want it to be softer. If these guys would adapt very quickly once they see that they're not getting those calls, they'll stop flying across the court and hitting beer out of people's hands. So if the record label, so we black people don't want to listen to murder, kill all day. Surprise.
We don't. Yeah, that's a very common misconception.
Yeah,
That
surprise.
is. Yeah.
And if you guys are watching this and you're not in the black and brown community, surprise. We don't all love listening to that. We don't all like that crap. So it's something that got a good beat to it. And if you're feeling aggressive, you want to go to the gym, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing, but we don't want to hear that all day long. Hey man, I like salads too. I like a balanced meal. So if I want to listen to some party rah over here, that's cool, man. But at the same time, where's the balance? And they made sure that there was no balance, that you was going to get nothing but sugar and starch every day, and put sugar and starch all day on the radio. And then people trying to figure out why our people are malnourished. We're not hearing any nutrients. And they made sure that they didn't promote that type of stuff either. So the guys growing up is just talking about Kool-Aid and crackers and freaking bread. Then it's just like, all right, well then at that point, they're just eating nothing but starch and sugar. And so that's all that their rap is going to be about. And then we try to figure out, it's devolved to the point to where they're just muttering words. They don't even use words anymore. Now, there's a certain genius to muttering words, but not muttering words because you're so high on drugs. So my whole thing is that it has devolved into this. And who do they promote now? Who are you listening to the radio now? What is being played on the radio now? It's madness. I'm listening to this stuff, and this guy was just saying F word every other sentence. But they took the time to bleep it out. But I'm like, it's clearly obvious that this guy's cussing every sentence. Like, what is this? But hey, man, it's the new age. So so we have to be mindful of the machines. And we had talked about this kind of in the last topic too, where social media and what's coming through these feeds. Hey man, who controls these algorithms in these machines. And whenever if they want to push a certain way of being, they're going to make certain things trending. And generally speaking, it messes your head up.
Mm-hmm.
It fries brain cells instead of enhancing you. And so the same type of mechanisms, commercialization, because again, commercialization is here for you to keep consuming from them. It doesn't, at some point, if you were allowed to just be your own person, you wouldn't want to consume from these places anymore. So you need to be out of your mind in order for you to consume from me. So take this in your feed. I'll pay how much money, call ads, to make sure you stay out of your damn mind, so you can keep giving me your money and taxing you. So these corporate interests and these whatever types of industries or whatever, so these record labels and whatever, and they're putting this crap out there, these Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B's, Young Miami's, NBA Young Boys. Are these people talented? And whatever, I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to say that they're giving you these people so you can live like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't live directly like them, you're living in the derivative of it, which is not on a path of actual generational wealth and actual stuff.
And the only reason why you're living on a derivative of what they're saying and not the actual pathway is simply because you're not in the same tax bracket as them.
Right. As you
If you were
mentioned, like
in
we
this,
can't afford it.
yes, if you were in the same tax bracket as them, it would be the exact same pathway.
Exactly. So that's why when certain people blow up and then you see all the ignorant stuff they start doing, and it's just like, hey man, money, just because you got money don't mean you're gonna stop, you have any smarts about yourself. And as you said, just because these people are on don't mean that they know anything. They just are on. And a lot of these people are so high up the chain because dysfunctionality gets promotions. So the more dysfunctional you are, actually the higher platform you get. So of course the things that they're going to say is dysfunctional because they come from a dysfunctional mindset. And so yeah, so it's the same ladder that these corporate interests are interested in making sure that people stay out of their minds. So why else
Mhm.
put Kodak Black on something? I mean, the boy can't even talk. Is he talented? Yeah, but the boy can't even talk. And so what is he going to talk about if he's out of his mind all the time? Shit that's going to keep you out of your mind. So shout out to Kodak Black though. But the whole thing is that man, this whole thing is it needs to change. It won't. But young people out there, hopefully they do listen to Bobby Shmurda here and turn off the rap themselves because the shit that's coming out nowadays is garbage anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Chief Keef. He's another one cut from that mold too. Chief Keef
Yeah,
on
he's
that crazy
responsible.
stuff.
Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of trash.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing, I think people believe that what people want determines what gets served on an algorithm. And that's not what it is.
No, it's
That's not
not.
true. It's actually the opposite. It's what the algorithm is predetermined to serve, and that's what you're going to see. Therefore, you're going to click on it and then you're going to serve it up because you're actually interacting with it. But what you're going to be exposed to is already predetermined. And people get those things confused. Like, no, and it kind of matriculates back into this central conversation that we've been having about how a lot of these things aren't real life and aren't real, but they want you to believe that it's real so that you can interact with it. And it's all a part of a twofold strategy: onefold, obviously, to make money, and twofold to keep you from thinking for yourself. Those are the two main goals for this. And it gives me no pleasure in saying this because I grew up listening to this music, but at this point, in my opinion, for the most part, not some of the artists, the handful of artists and a handful of music that comes out that doesn't necessarily fit this particular paradigm. But
Mhm.
for the most part, this music is largely designed to keep you from thinking for yourself. It is. And so I think, what you can take away from an individual like Bobby Shmurda and what he had to say was, if you don't think for yourself, obviously there's a tendency for you to think that this stuff is real, and it's not. And that's coming from a guy who was making this crap. And it's not real. Like, this stuff is not real life. This stuff doesn't have a life of its own. People give it life. Like, y'all give Instagram life, you give TikTok life. The only stuff that has a life of its own is the stuff that serves a practical use. If you can learn an actual hard skill, those things have a life of their own. But the rest of this social stuff, you give it life. It doesn't inherently have life. You give it life, and then you turn around and think that that is real life and that it's reality. And that's where the bamboozlement takes place. That's the trick. So, um, you know, I would like for it to see it curtailed a little bit, because I don't necessarily think I'm speaking from the standpoint of an old person per se. I think it's different. I think that there are certain aspects of the consumption of this type of media that are different compared to the way it used to be. And I think before, even though there was a lot of that going on with the shoot this and sell that and all, and have sex with your baby mama and I'll smash your girl and all of that kind of stuff, the ability of these outlets to then reinforce the messaging of the music through direct face-to-face forms of communication through these apps has made it worse. That's what I think the difference is. And so a lot more people glean it as real life than they did before in previous generations. And that can be dangerous when you listen to so much of it and now think that you got to go out there and, run up on ops and burglarize houses and shoot people. Look at Lucci, same thing. And so, it is what it is. And then they get indicted and then you say free this person. Like, that to me, I just I can't wrap my arms around. But nevertheless, if one person can look at that and say, all right, well, maybe I can either make different music or listen to this with a filter or just not do it entirely, capitulate to the behavior. Any one of those scenarios that is a result, I think is a positive step in the right direction.
Yep. And the time that last little part there, um, just imagine whatever uh the song you're listening to, you're stepping in a room and you're just getting into that room, into that mindset. And look what's decorating on the walls. Look how the furniture looks in there. You look over there, hoes ain't shit. You look over there, go flip a brick. You look over there, you know, I don't know, spending money, I ain't
Yeah,
no trick.
yeah, yeah.
And then
Run
you
up
sit,
on ops.
yeah,
Yeah,
you run
yeah,
up on ops. All right, you got a pack on you, and you go, oh
yeah,
wow, that once you take the headphones off, you have now stepped out of that room. But
yeah.
some of that is
Percocet,
still
Molly Percocet. Yeah,
exactly. But the more you get into those rooms, the more that start to get on you. And if you got a whole playlist of that, you're going into each room talking about women ain't nothing. Then you can listen to a song that's telling you to invest your money. Then you listen to a song that say, hey, whatever. Your mindset immediately shifts. So be mindful of what's in your playlist. Some of these songs are hard to let go. It's like crack, some of them, I know. Trust me. Some of them still litter around some playlists that are out there. All right. But I take it in, like I said, hey man, I have a whole meal of stuff. I listen to a lot of Spanish music. I don't know what the hell they saying, but it goes hard. So you can listen to all kinds of music. Just make sure that the music that you're listening to is actually speaking to some part of you. And then at that point, you wouldn't be listening to songs that are always telling you to be on some other shit. So have a balance stuff. So instrumentals I listen to, music from other countries, like some song in my stuff is from Portuguese.
hmm
So just mixing it up and having different types of music, it also helps at that point too, because you don't always have to listen to murder, kill, or depression music. They cheated on me, this and this and that. There's all kinds of music out there. Explore, and you'll be surprised that what don't miss rap, because the stuff that
yeah,
they talk about, I now feel better. I'm telling you, boy, you be anxious when you listen to murder, kill all day. So it's a
yeah.
different life.
I started listening to music from the UK personally,
Yep.
because my Spotify feed randomly started hitting me with songs from these artists from the UK, and I
Yep.
kind of like it. I like how a lot of it sounds. The more, not even the popular ones. Like there's a guy from the UK called Aaron Tallow. Started listening to him. I'll listen to what's that kid? He's from the UK. He's a real popular one. Got a song with Eminem. Uh, dang, what's his name off the top? Dang, I'm drawing a blank right now. I'll think of it. But yeah, diversification is key. I look at it like eating meals. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, like you know, I'm not going to eat clean, healthy every single day.
Right.
I'm gonna have 1 or 2 days out of the week where I eat a little dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have 1 or 2 days out of the week where I eat my red meat. I'm gonna eat a burger here or there, French fries, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 days out of the week, I'm on my clean vibe.
Right.
So it's not to say go completely cold turkey. The way I look at it is that diversification gives you, number one, the ability to maintain a worldview that's balanced
Right.
and not think that what you think based on your community, extrapolate that to the rest of the world. Like this is how the rest of the world is, because it's not. But then number two, it allows you a better opportunity to develop a filter. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you diversify your bonds like that, then you'll know stuff is different and you can just expose yourself to different stuff and you can create that balance in your mind. Ed Sheeran, that's what I was thinking of. Ed Sheeran. So
Mhm.
yeah, man. But yeah, I appreciate that. That was good content, nevertheless. And shouts out to Bobby Shmurda. I think that was good stuff. Y'all need to
Yeah,
break out of that matrix, man. Break out of that matrix.
yeah, man. Get up out of there.
Easier said than done, but it can be done. It can be done. But that'll do it for tonight's stream. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. This was another Conscious Approach episode in the books. My name is JV Wins. That's Dogon SS. As I always like to say, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join in with the tribe. You know that when you pull your phone out and you get that YouTube notification that says new video, Conscious Approach, you want to see that. It's fuel for your soul, you know. And we certainly appreciate you joining us along for the ride. So go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Hit the like button. We certainly appreciate that as well. Let us know what you thought about the commentary in this video, where you think we went right, wrong, agree, disagree. It's okay. You can tell me that I'm full of shit and completely wrong because I don't care. I'm not trying to run a cult, so I don't care about being right all the time. Straight up. Be on the lookout for Conscious Approach audio RSS feeds wherever you get your podcasts. Definitely making that happen still. I've been saying that for the last several videos, but that's because it's true, damn it. I'm not making that up. I'm working on it.
That's right.
Yeah, check out Conscious Approach on Instagram at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. If you happen to be watching this video on the Facebook page, follow the Facebook page, hit the like button. Although Facebook has been acting really weird lately. I cannot. Our last video is not on the channel because for whatever reason I can't publish the video. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. It's a weird meta Facebook, whatever the hell you want to call it, but they're just not cooperating. So I don't know what's going on. But follow me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Hit that subscribe button, man. Follow the channel, follow the stream. We certainly appreciate it, whether you're watching the stream or whether you're watching one of our video uploads. Thank you for joining us along for the ride. We'll catch you on the next video.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS, not not doggone. It's all right. It's Dogon. All right, SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also on YouTube at Hurricane Dogon. And as I always say on every part, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it playing, man. Keep it even kill. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. All right. Especially these thought rappers and these wannabe gangster rappers. All right. Because they'll lead you down a path of misery and destruction. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yeah, what did Malcolm X say? They'll leave you bamboozled, led astray,
right.
hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked.
Yeah, don't let them do it to you, man. Don't let them because they will. Mm-hmm. Listen with a filter. Take what you need and leave the foolishness alone.
That's right.
But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. Another Conscious Approach video in the books. Thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you to everyone who has been subscribing. Thank you to everyone who will subscribe in the future. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
Peace. Skirt. Go Heat.
Go Heat, baby. Go Heat, baby.
Skirt.